Hey everyone, to start out this video, big shout out to Jake from VV for providing me with the game film. I'm going to be talking about Princess, who is both available for free-to-play players as well as people who spend. By the looks of it, the event that's going on right now will get free-to-play players 1 to 2 princesses, and spenders may be able to get the S-Class version of Princess. She is a toon that can be used on offense or defense. Her rush 800% damage to a line of enemies. She gets plus 50% bonus HP, and when she's on the defensive team, she gets plus 20% defense for 2 turns. She's also a berserker toon, so as she's attacked, her attack power actually increases. So what makes Princess very unique and one of a kind at the moment is her active skill. Her active skill is able to normalize the enemy, which means it basically disarms the specialist skill of the enemy that it's targeting. So up to 3 enemies get normalized and taunt for 2 turns, and then she gains plus 35% AP. So by taunting enemies into her, it'll help her gain more attack because of Berserker. Normalize will prevent specialist skills from triggering. So that's things like Guardian, it's Bide, it's Payback. It's a number of different specialist skills, and this makes her to be very powerful because she's already a very strong attacking toon, but by being able to get rid of a toon's specialist skill, it makes her a very unique and almost like Swiss Army-like toon. She has an interesting weapon, plus 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and when she's being attacked, there's a 75% chance to gain plus 50% attack for 2 turns. Her weapon, her taunt, and her Berserker ability will give her a huge chance to produce high damage, especially with the high damage output off of her rush. As an S-Class toon, on her rush, she ends up doing 1000% damage, gets more bonus HP as well as defense when on defense, and her active skill stays the same. In my opinion, the best asset to Princess is her active skill, and her weapon gets slightly better by being able to increase by plus 60% instead of plus 50%. In my opinion, her active skill is one of the most unique active skills out there, and she'll be kind of like a trailblazer for the game by having the normalized skill. As seen when it's used here, I would have waited a turn to use it because then I could direct it at specific toons. In this case, it went to Magna, Pete, as well as Priya. But if it was used on, say, Payback Negan, it would prevent them from being able to use their Payback ability, which would be very valuable. And in the case of this team, Pete as well as Priya don't have specialist skills because they're both leader toons. The application of the ability Normalize, in my opinion, would help speed up every single raid if you don't have a turn 2 attack team. Now, the reason I say this is because we think about Bide and Payback being as the 2 main specialist skills that we want to get rid of, but if we use Normalize, say on Kapoor, who has Dexterity, he would automatically lose the ability to not be one-hit KO'd by Priya, for instance, because Tenacity does not allow him to be killed with one single attack. It would instead reduce his damage, his HP, down to 19%. And of course, Evasion is able to reduce damage by the amount of AP that the toon has. Now, this is another good example of a team to use Normalize on. Obviously, killing Negan off first reduces the number of toons that you can try to apply Normalize to. Now, Normalize here could work on either Negan or Mia to great effect, in my opinion, because if you're able to take out Mia and remove her Outlast ability, all of a sudden she's unable to rush and revive a teammate if she's under the influence of Normalize. And at the moment, there is no way to prevent Normalize from occurring. What I mean by that is that we have Disarm Resist now as a mod. We have different Stun Resist, Impair Resist, Taunt Resist, Bleed Resist, Maim Resist, Burn Resist, and some other resist mods. But we're able to recover from being disarmed or prevent it from happening. We can prevent someone from using their active skill. We can prevent someone from using their rush, but we have no way of preventing someone from using a skill like Normalize yet. And what's great about Princess is that you're able to use her still as a 6-star because, as I mentioned before, her active skill remains the same as a 6-star and as an S-Class. Obviously, she's more powerful as an S-Class, but I completely believe that any free-to-play light spender or spender would be able to use her as a 6-star toon, because we're not looking to her in this case for a huge amount of damage, although she can produce it. When she's modded properly, and depending on the team that you run, because of her taunting ability, her berserker ability, and her weapon ability, she can be used on offense or defense, but her active skill is the thing that is most unique about her. And by being able to use her active skill, you can get rid of bide. Like right here, you can see that Cam is taking damage and there's no bide bar that's coming up, which means you can attack him again and again and again and again without receiving any type of damage back. So there's less fear in rushing him, especially with toons that do multiple attacks as basic attacks. So in this case, that would be Priya as well as Michonne. Now, obviously, this was not a super clean attack, but it was just an example to show you of the abilities of Princess and to put it on display for everyone to see. Now, when we're fighting this team again, one thing that I would have used with this team and would have liked to see is actually using Glenn's active skill, because Glenn's actually able to recover from bleed. I didn't see the point in using Normalize onto Pete because he doesn't have a specialist skill, as I mentioned before, but it does work on Negan. So if we have a toon to rush, like right here, Priya can rush Negan, no payback. This is going to make matches a lot easier, in my opinion, because it means you're not playing with fear of triggering different specialist skills that could really be the end of your match. In this case, Princess ended up dying before she was able to apply Normalize to Cameron Scar. So you'll see that it gets a little messier when you don't have her, just because, he's going to be gaining bide damage, and for every 2,000 damage he takes in, he can reflect back 3,000 flat damage, and it becomes a very messy match. I found in the last war, the most difficult part for me was when I came across bide toons. So I love that Normalize can be implemented and used by any type of player, whether you play casually or competitively. I think it's a super useful ability that, when used right, can help every single player raid more efficiently as well as faster, which of course is super important when you're in war, for example. Now that I think about it, another useful area of combat to be able to use a specialist skill like Normalize would be an onslaught, especially when you're trying to go for the no rush bonus. Now, at the time that I'm making this video, there is currently a bug when using Princess's active skill, and it's actually a really interesting bug to me. So when Princess uses her active skill on a human shield, but then the shield is killed on the same turn, the game tells you that none of your toons that should be able to attack can attack anymore, and it basically ends your turn right then and there. This to me is a little bit confusing, because once the toon dies and you still have toons that can use their abilities, whether it's attacking, defending, active skills, it's somehow just shutting it off. Now, this person here in the forums wasn't able to produce a video, but the Beebs was able to recreate the bug and test it 2 different ways for me. So now we're jumping towards that. We're seeing the normal attacks to start, but we're really waiting for turn 2 to really see what happens, because Princess is about to use her active skill on Magna. So rushing with Dr. Stevens first in order to give everyone AP, 2 toons AP. We use active skill on Magna as well as on L. Rush with Priya. Magna dies and now no one can attack. Now the Beebs wanted to test it if a toon has focus, and because Harper actually has an active skill that lets her focus, we're going to see if she's able to attack after the shield dies while under the influence of Normalize. And again, we're kind of in a stuck position where the game just stops. So somehow Normalize breaks the game on you. So I would recommend not using it on attack on a human shield at the moment, because I'm unsure how this bug occurs or why it occurs, but your game just gets stalled out. I'll be looking forward to see when they fix this, because obviously this cannot continue. I can't wait to use Princess on offense, but if I'm worried she's going to stall at my game, I will probably refrain from doing that. I am curious to how she would work on defense because it could become the greatest defense right now. If the offense runs a human shield and you're able to stall them out for the whole attack, might be the greatest way to win, especially when we have a blitz war starting on Monday. So I do hope that they're able to fix her by then, because if this happens on defense as well, I fear it'll just be a defending game where unless you kill her to start, you could just get stuck. So again, shout out to the Beebs as well as Jake for the video footage, and thanks everyone for watching and listening to my video.